Hello everyone and welcome back to another deep dive episode of MonsterInvest. I'm your host, Daniel. Today we are going to slow things down. We are going to take a long, hard look at something that most people spend more time avoiding than planning. I'm talking about the rest of your life. Specifically, the part of your life where the paycheck stops, but the breathing, eating, and living continues. We are talking about retirement planning. Now, before you reach for the skip button because you think this topic is for old people, or because it sounds boring, hear me out. This is not an episode about being old. This is an episode about freedom. It's about the point in your life where working becomes a choice, not a necessity. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Seriously, humor me. I want you to visualize your life 30, maybe 40 years from now. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday, not a Saturday, a Tuesday. The sun is streaming through the window. You hear the faint sound of the world outside rushing to work. Car doors slamming, engine starting, the stress of the commute. But you are still in bed. You feel the sheets. They are soft, you smell coffee brewing, you have nowhere to be, no boss to email, no clients to appease, no deadlines. Now answer this question honestly. In this vision, who is paying for that coffee? Who paid for those sheets? Who paid for the heat or the air conditioning? Because here is the cold, hard truth. The you of today is the only person who can take care of the you of tomorrow. That future version of you, the one with gray hair and a slower walk, is completely dependent on the decisions you make right now, listening to this podcast. So for the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to build a master plan. We are going to cover everything: the math, the mindset, the traps, and the strategy. We are going to talk about starting early, catching up if you're late, and most importantly, how to retire not just with money, but with happiness. Let's start with the enemy. Every hero story needs a villain, and in the story of your retirement, the villain is invisible. Its name is inflation. We've all heard the word, but do we really feel it? Inflation is the silent thief in your wallet. It's the reason why a cup of coffee cost 50 cents when your parents were young, and now it costs $5. If you take your money and stuff it under a mattress, or leave it in a regular savings account earning 0.1% interest, you aren't just saving it, you are actually losing it. Every year, the cost of living goes up by an average of 2 to 3%. If your money isn't growing faster than that, your wealth is melting like an ice cube on a hot sidewalk. This is why we invest. We don't invest to get rich quick. We invest to survive. We invest to preserve our purchasing power. Now let's talk about our greatest ally. If inflation is the villain, then compound interest is the superhero. Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. He said, "He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it." To explain this, I'm going to share a classic tale. It's the story of two investors, Sarah and Jack. I want you to listen closely to the numbers because they are going to blow your mind. Let's start with Sarah. Sarah is fresh out of college, 25 years old. She lands a job, nothing fancy, but she's smart. She decides to invest $500 a month. That's it, $500. She puts it into a standard S&P 500 index fund, which historically averages about an 8% return per year. Sarah is consistent. She invests every single month, rain or shine, from age 25 until she turns 35, for 10 years. Then at 35, maybe she starts a business, or takes time off to raise kids, or money gets tight. She stops contributing. She never adds another penny. But and this is key, she doesn't touch the money. She just lets it sit there, growing at 8% until she retires at 65. So Sarah invested for 10 years total. Her total out-of-pocket contribution was $60,000. Now meet Jack. Jack is Sarah's friend. At 25, Jack says, "I'm young, I want to travel, I want to lease a BMW, I'll worry about retirement later." 10 years pass, Jack is now 35. He sees Sarah's account growing and thinks, "Oh no, I'm behind." So Jack starts investing. He gets serious. He puts in the same $500 a month, and he does it faithfully. He does it from age 35 all the way to age 65. Jack invests for 30 straight years. Sarah only invested for 10. Jack put in a total of $180,000 of his own cash. Sarah only put in $60,000. Jack worked 3 times as hard. So at age 65, who has more money? Most people would bet on Jack. He put in more money. He saved for longer. But the math reveals the shocking truth. At age 65, Sarah, who stopped saving 30 years ago, has approximately $787,000. Jack, after saving for 30 years straight, he has about $679,000. Sarah has over $100,000 more than Jack, even though she invested 1/3 of the capital. Why? How is this fair? It's not about fairness, it's about physics. It's about the exponential nature of time. Sarah's money had 40 years to compound. Her first dollars had 4 decades to make babies, and those babies made babies. Jack's money only had 30 years. That first 10-year window, from 25 to 35, is the most expensive decade of your life to miss. This brings us to a concept called the Rule of 72. It's a simple mental math trick. You take the number 72 and divide it by your annual interest rate. The result is the number of years it takes for your money to double. If you get an 8% return, 72 divided by 8 is 9. That means your money doubles every 9 years. If you start at 25, you have 4 or 5 doubling periods before you retire. If you start at 35, you might only have 3. Losing one doubling period doesn't mean you lose a little bit of money. It means you lose half of your potential final portfolio. So the takeaway here is clear. Start now. Even if it's $50, even if it's $20, get the clock ticking. But Daniel, you might ask, I'm not 25 anymore. I'm 45, I'm 50. Is it over for me? Should I just give up? Absolutely not. And this leads me to our second case study, the late starter. Let's call him David. David is 45 years old. He went through a messy divorce. He has 0 savings. He feels panicked. He looks at Sarah and Jack and feels like he missed the boat. If you are David, the strategy of just put in $500 and wait won't work. You don't have 40 years, you have 20. So what does David do? He needs to pull 3 levers: the savings rate lever, the time lever, and the lifestyle lever. First, the savings rate. David can't save 10% of his income. He needs to save 30%, maybe 40%. He needs to treat his financial recovery like an emergency. This might mean downsizing the house, selling the expensive car, or picking up a side hustle. It's uncomfortable, yes, but the alternative is being broke at 80. Second, the time lever. Who says you have to retire at 65? If David pushes his retirement to 70, that gives his money 5 extra years to grow and, crucially, 5 fewer years he has to fund. Delaying Social Security or pension withdrawals can also significantly boost the monthly payout. Third, the lifestyle lever. David needs to redefine what a rich life means. Does he need $40,000 a year to live on, or can he be happy on 25? If he lowers his cost of living, his freedom number drops dramatically. So to all the Davids out there, it is never too late, but the hill is steeper, so you have to start climbing today with more intensity. Now let's get technical for a moment. We've talked about investing, but what are we actually buying? A lot of beginners make the mistake of thinking investing means picking stocks. They think they need to find the next Apple or the next Amazon. They watch the news, they buy when things are hot, and they sell when they panic. This is not investing, this is gambling. For retirement planning, we want to be boring. Boring is beautiful. You don't want to find the needle in the haystack. You want to buy the whole haystack. This means index funds or ETFs, exchange-traded funds. Instead of buying one company, you buy a fund that holds the top 500 companies in America or the top 3,000 companies in the world. Why? Because companies go bankrupt, sectors fade away. Remember Blockbuster, remember Kodak. If you bet your retirement on one company, you're playing Russian roulette with your future. But the global economy, the market as a whole, over history, it has always gone up over the long term. It cleans itself. Weak companies die, strong companies replace them. By owning the index, you automatically own the winners without having to guess who they are. So your portfolio should likely be a mix of these broad stock funds for growth, and maybe some bonds for stability, depending on your age. The closer you get to retirement, the more bonds you might want to protect what you've built. Now the big question, how much is enough? What is the number? Is it $1 million, $2 million? There's a rule of thumb in the financial community called the 4% rule. This comes from a famous study known as the Trinity study. It suggests that if you have a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio in the first year of retirement, and then adjust that amount for inflation every year after, and you have a very high probability of not running out of money for 30 years. So let's do the math backwards. First, figure out your annual expenses in retirement. Be realistic. Housing, food, healthcare, travel, gifts. Let's say you estimate you need $40,000 a year to live comfortably. Now take that $40,000 and multiply it by 25. 40,000 times 25 is $1 million. That is your freedom number. If you have 1 million invested, 4% of that is 40,000. If you think you can live on $30,000 a year, 30,000 times 25 is $750,000. If you want a lavish lifestyle and need 100,000 a year, you need 2.5 million invested. This gives you a concrete target. It's not just a vague dream anymore. It's a math problem, and math problems have solutions. But and this is the most important part of the episode, we need to talk about the retire happy part of our title. I have met people who hit their number. They saved the million. They retired at 55, and 6 months later they were depressed. Why? Because they spent 30 years obsessing over the means, the money, and forgot about the end, the life. Retirement is a major identity crisis. For decades, when someone asked, "Who are you?" you probably answered with your job title. I'm an accountant, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer. On the day you retire, you lose that label. If you don't have something to replace it with, you will feel a void. You will feel irrelevant. Financial independence is not the goal. Financial independence is the fuel for the goal. So while you are building that portfolio, you also need to build your happiness portfolio. What are your hobbies? Who are your friends outside of work? What gives you a sense of purpose? Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's learning a language. Maybe it's gardening or writing or mentoring young people. You need to retire to something, not just from something. The happiest retirees I know are the busiest people I know. They don't sit on the couch watching TV all day. They are active. They are engaged. The only difference is they do things because they want to, not because they have to pay the rent. So let's synthesize all of this into an action plan. What should you do practically starting today? Step 1, audit your life. Look at where your money is going. You can't fill a bucket if it has a hole in the bottom. Find the waste. Cut the subscriptions you don't use. Stop buying things to impress people you don't like. Step 2, get the match. If your employer offers a 401k match, take it. That is free money. It is an instant 100% return on your investment. Do not leave it on the table. Step 3, kill the high-interest debt. Credit cards are the anti-investment. If you have debt charging you 20% interest and you are investing hoping to make 8%, you are paddling upstream. Pay off the toxic debt first. Step 4, automate the investment. Set up a direct deposit or an automatic transfer to your brokerage account or IRA. Make it happen on payday before you even see the money. If you have to decide to save every month, you will fail. Make it automatic. Make it painless. Step 5, increase the rate. Every time you get a raise, pretend you didn't. Put half of that raise into your investments. You won't miss it because you never had it, and your savings rate will skyrocket. Step 6, ignore the noise. The market will crash. It will happen. It is normal when the news is screaming recession, and everyone is panic selling. Do nothing. In fact, if you can, buy more. The stock market is the only store where customers run out the door when everything goes on sale. Don't be that customer. Stay the course. We have covered a lot of ground today. We traveled from the scary reality of inflation to the magic of compound interest. We saw the victory of Sarah and the struggle of Jack. We learned the 4% rule and the importance of finding purpose beyond the paycheck. I want to leave you with one final thought. There is a Chinese proverb that says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." It doesn't matter if you are 20, 30, 50, or 60. You are alive today. You have agency today. You can make a choice today that will make your future self say, "Thank you." Don't let the magnitude of the mountain stop you from taking the first step. You don't need to have the $1 million today. You just need to have the discipline to save the first $100. And then the next, and then the next. Retirement planning is simply the act of loving your future self. It's a gift you send through time. So start the machine, build your freedom, and remember, the goal isn't just to be rich. The goal is to be happy. I hope this deep dive gave you the clarity and the motivation you needed. If you found value in this, please share it with a friend who needs a wake-up call. Subscribe to MonsterInvest because we are going to keep breaking down these complex topics into simple stories. I'm Daniel. This has been MonsterInvest. Go plant your tree. I'll see you in the next episode.